Hi MJ, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
You're good. I'm doing all right. I was a little worried when we were in last session. You mentioned that you'd been in a car accident, and so I've been
Yeah.
thinking a lot about some of the things you were bringing up during that session, and wanted to follow up on how your family's doing and the car, and if you've been able to get new transportation.
Yeah. It has been pretty overwhelming. The car accident was pretty intense and it brought up some pretty negative feelings for me.
Okay, what negative feelings? If can I ask what those are?
So I last time we talked, I've brought up a few times that I've been considering I've been having suicidal ideations, and I've been having a hard time coping with that kind of stuff. And then getting into that car accident just kind of brought up these negative emotions about almost I, it solidified the fact that I'm wanting to engage in that, but I'm too scared to actually do it myself, if that makes sense.
I think so. Can I ask some clarifying questions?
Yes.
And remember, like with certain things, we can always press the pause button if you don't feel comfortable. And if we do bring up other conversations about, like, yes, you're not comfortable doing it yourself, but like with suicide, making sure that you're safe and having a conversation of what that might mean. Is that okay if I proceed?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So you said, and you brought up that you've had suicidal ideations in the past, and with what's happening, I'm curious, are you wishing in the car accident that you didn't make it out of that car accident?
Yeah.
And with that, you've you said that you had some thoughts about suicidal ideation, but you don't want to do it yourself. Can you tell me more about what some of those thoughts are?
So it's more like how I so when I got into that car accident, it was an almost dang it, I wish that would have been the moment that it happened. So it's not that I want to take pills and do it myself, or I don't have a plan or anything like that. um my thing is if I got into a serious accident, um I it doesn't bother me thinking about the fact that I might die.
And so it sounds like you've had thoughts of, like, oh, I could take some pills and end it that way, or do some other things.
Yeah.
What thoughts come up when you have those thoughts come in your mind?
It's more that I'm so when I think about oh, I could take a bunch of pills right now, but also at the same time I'm I wouldn't want to do that to my boyfriend or my family or my dogs and stuff like that. So that's why I know I wouldn't do it myself.
And so, just to clarify, at this time, you have not done anything or started to anything or prepared anything to currently end your life. Okay.
Correct. I have not.
Okay. And thank you. First, I want to say thank you for opening up to me. I know we've only met 3 times, and this is obviously something that's been weighing on your mind, and I'm glad that you trust me to talk about this. And I'm glad that you're able to identify people in your life, such as your boyfriend, that are a reason to not make this change. And with this, I know in previous things we've talked about, like making plans to help you cope and like send you home with homework. And tell me again if I'm wrong. Like, it sounds to me that you don't like certain aspects of your life and you just want things to change.
Yeah.
Is okay. And so with those changes, we can do our best to accomplish those things without you passing away. But it might take some time and it might be difficult along the way. Is that something you're prepared to do?
I think I'm ready to put in the work. These thoughts and feelings have been like super overwhelming, and so like I don't want to feel this way anymore. But it's so frustrating that like these like thoughts just keep going through my head.
And with that frustration, is it maybe a thought of like, why are these thoughts not going away?
Yeah, because like there are like amazing aspects of my life, and like I don't have like a bad life at all. I don't know if it's just like my stress that I've had lately or what, but they've just been really overwhelming, and I'm ready to not want to like not have these thoughts of suicide anymore.
No, and I'm hearing you, and I understand where that frustration comes from. It also gives me personally some hope of hearing of like you have a desire to live and to continue enjoying the aspects of life that you do have. And so with that, it is, as much as they can be annoying to pop up, like it is important with this plan that we're going to take with you. I'm going to have you take home is a safety plan to help you get through these difficult times, because thankfully, like you've mentioned, there's good times that have happened in the past. We're going through hard times. There'll be good times in the future. There will also be some more hard times in the future, and it's being able to get through them, right? So with warning signs, thoughts, you said that you were feeling overwhelmed and stressed. Are there any thoughts, images, or other situations that come up when these thoughts keep popping up in your head more frequently than others?
I think like so you're asking about like warning signs of like these? Is that
Yeah, warning signs or like
Yeah.
circumstances around you where it's like, afterwards I've noticed that these keep popping up. Like these
Yeah.
thoughts happen like maybe after a situation that happens at work or a conversation that you've had or any triggers, anything like that. Does that make more sense?
Yeah, so like when I'm having like these overwhelming feelings and like a lot of stress, because I feel like it's my stress that's been very overwhelming. I noticed that like my body gets like really hot, but then at the same time like I get really like tired and I want to just lay down and not do anything.
So feeling distress, your body's getting hot, your body's telling you need to rest and recuperate. Can I ask?
Yes.
Because I know that you do a lot of really hard things. You have a great work ethic. What kinds of stress do you notice where like this is okay versus more stress than normal for you? Have you been able to identify anything?
I don't think there's anything like specific that causes more stress. Maybe like when I know that like a really hard assignment will be coming up. I do notice that like I get a little bit more stressed during those days and a lot more negative thoughts come in, like am I able to do this? Like can I complete this program? Stuff like that.
So anticipation of difficulties coming up.
Yes.
And experiencing some difficulties with your self-image.
Yes.
Okay. And when you have these thoughts, what are things that you do to cope to help take your mind off of the problems that you're having?
So I really like to take my dog on a walk. That helps me a lot. And then I also like to go on runs by myself and listen to music. Sometimes like running to like fast music kind of distracts me from like these thoughts that I'm having.
Okay.
And sometimes like it doesn't distract me from the thoughts, but it's almost like it's like a time where I can like work through them on my own.
Yeah.
So that's been really nice to like get out and do that.
No, being out in nature, spending time with your dog and listening to music, exercise in specific there's research that helps with effective rest, and studies that have come out with burnout. So it sounds like you're seeing those benefits and that it's helping you. So those are all great internal coping skills. I also know that internal coping skills are great, but we really want to help build this support system to help you get through this time. So who are some people and social settings where maybe you don't want to open up and tell them what's wrong at this point in time, but just helps you get your mind off of it? You mentioned being out with your dog, but what other social settings out and about help distract you?
So I really like, I think like being around my boyfriend, just because he feels like a very safe place for me. And then I also have like a really long time friend, and she feels like a very like safe place for me as well. And so like being around them and like going out to like the farmer's market and stuff like that. Or even like going on hikes with them and just being able to like have these like, I don't know, like distracting conversations about like life in general, I think has been really beneficial for me.
Awesome. I'm glad that you have your girlfriend and your boyfriend and your other friend who is a girl in your corner. And that there's activities that you enjoy to do, like going out and hiking, farmers markets. I know it's winter right now, but there's also some markets that are held inside. And there's other activities that you were able to come and think of to do that. So that is awesome. With these people, if distractions are not helping with these thoughts, we do want to identify some people other than just myself of who you can talk to, and ask for support. Who do you find you can open up to about this other than me?
I think like I was saying, like my boyfriend and my friend, they are very like safe places for me. And so I do know that if I'm ever going through a hard time or like having these negative thoughts, I know that like they are people that I can talk to without receiving any judgment for what I'm going through.
Okay. And with this, and I'm not going to talk about it right now, but if you need help as well, do you feel comfortable talking to them and bringing them into this on your own, or would you like me to help be a part of that conversation? Be like, hey, would you be willing to be part of MJ's program or a safety plan?
I think I would be comfortable enough to be able to ask them about it.
Okay. And that's totally fine. So not all of my clients feel like they can do that, but if that's something you feel you can do, then that's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you for giving me that option.
You're welcome. And of course, I'm glad again that these individuals are in your life and that they're there and they can open up to you. In case of an extreme crisis, and hopefully, again, we're going to hope for the best, but we're going to plan for the worst just in case. If you feel like your coping skills are maxed out, you've tried everything on this list, your boyfriend's there to help you, your friend's there to help you, but it's still not enough in that moment, I do also want to give you a list of professionals and agencies that you can contact. So that way, like for example, I don't know your boyfriend or your friend, but just how like, hey, you aren't going to go to a heart doctor to get knee surgery. We want to make sure that those people are able to be there and give you what you need and are trained to do that. Are you more comfortable calling or texting when you're in a crisis?
Calling.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a few numbers. One is the National Suicide Hotline.
Okay.
And in case it is in high demand, because sometimes people are put on hold, I'm also going to give you a phone number for something called Safe Utah. And I'm going to give you an app that can help connect you. It's called 211 Utah. That can connect you to community and health services. I know we've brought up that with your past, you've had to go to hospitals frequently. Do you feel comfortable going to an emergency room for medications nearby? Like, do you have one that you can identify that you're comfortable with, or do you need my help finding one?
Yeah, I do know that I can like go to like my local like emergency room if I'm ever feeling unsafe, and then I do also know that like I can go to Huntsman for help too, because I know that they do have that receiving center since I have been there before. So I do know that I can reach out to them as well.
Okay. And on this form that I'm filling out for you, I'm going to add like those numbers and the address, because even though you know how to get there, let's say like for whatever reason you're not in a state that you feel you can drive, then your boyfriend can drive you, your friend can drive you, and they know who to call just in case. And with this, the last step on this is just making sure that the environment around you is safe, because of making the process harder can give us the needed time to process and do things. So you mentioned like you've thought about taking excessive amount of pills. Can I ask what kind of medications do you have in your house that you would be able to use for that?
So I do take like daily medicine to like for like my heart, and like I do have like severe migraines, so I do take some medications for that. I don't know, like would I need to have someone lock up my pills, like always being in charge of my pills, or like would it be better if it's when I'm like having a hard time like having those negative thoughts? I just wanted to see what your thoughts were on that.
So I think, how close to your friend or does your boyfriend live?
I do live with my boyfriend.
Okay. So your boyfriend's in the house and he can be there. I think we've talked about in the past too, where it's like your distress scale and whatnot, and how usually, if I remember correctly, and tell me if this is wrong, if you're above a 6.5, that's usually when you start noticing these thoughts come in stronger. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So I think another thing we can do is when you're checking in with your boyfriend, he can ask you, hey, like on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you at? And if you're getting maybe even to like a 5.5, maybe being like, hey, like maybe I need to put the pills and take them in a safe place. Like they're in the house, but only he knows where they are for maybe like 24, 48 hours. And then when you're feeling better, then you two can have that conversation. Because I also want you to feel like you're not being controlled and that you're part of this process of making that plan. Because we've talked about how being controlled is a trigger for you.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that I was worried about. So I think that sounds really helpful, actually.
Okay. And with other things, are there any guns in the house?
No.
Okay. Are there any like long knives or anything that is that a method that you feel like you would take a course of action?
I'm not too worried about me using like any like weapons like that. I'm actually really scared of blood.
Okay.
So.
Okay, then I'm not worried about the knives. Let's just put the medications away. And then since this was a situation that has brought up negative emotions with you with driving, do you feel like you are safe to drive?
Yeah, I think I'm safe to drive. So if I'm having like these negative thoughts, like if I got in a car accident or something, like I don't mind like if I die or whatever. Like if I am having those thoughts, do you think maybe like giving my keys to my boyfriend for like the time being until like those thoughts kind of go away, do you think that might be helpful? Like if I'm able to like recognize that, or what do you think?
So with this, with warning signs, we've talked about stress and doing other things. I think for right now, let's just notice if those thoughts do come up.
Okay.
And with your boyfriend, having conversations with him, and if he's like, hey, like, do you feel safe to drive right now? And maybe him just even offering to drive if you're going to a place at the same time. Or if you're noticing, again, like, you're above a 6.5, just making the decision not to drive. I don't think, from what you've said, I don't think you need to give your keys to him. But if when we have our next session, if you notice that more of those thoughts and feelings are coming up, then we can revisit that.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
While we have made this awesome plan, and I want to let you know, like, I'm so impressed that you, off the bat, were able to identify things that you are able to do to cope, and that are successful for you, and that people who are in your life that are distractions and also social supports for you, you are doing the work. And I know sometimes you don't give yourself enough credit for that, but I want you to know this is awesome. But this isn't a formal contract. Like, if we need to make adjustments or other things throughout, we can always come back up and revisit it at any time to see, like, hey, this was really effective. This wasn't effective. We want this plan to be effective, and if it's not, we'll change some things when we get there. How does that sound for you?
That sounds great, actually.
Okay. And the last thing that I just wanted to bring up, we've talked a lot about values in the past and how values can help center us and also be a source for hope. I want to go more than just our values, but what is one thing that's the most important for you that gives you the desire to keep living?
I think something that, like, keeps me wanting to live is my dogs. They're super important to me.
Okay. And so when it gets really, really hard, it's okay to remember your dogs and to keep that there and be like, if you can't do it for you right now, and if it's really hard for you to do these coping skills or to access that plan, it's okay to recognize that it's hard. This is not going to be easy, but you can think of it, I'm doing this for my dogs.
Okay.
Can you remind me of your dog's name again?
Yeah, it's Mando and Lucy.
Okay, so I'm going to do this for Mando and Lucy.
Awesome. Okay.
Okay.
That sounds great. Thank you.
You're welcome. We are unfortunately about done with our time, but I'll see you again next week.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, MJ, and wish you best of luck.
Thank you.
Bye.